first time my brother betrayed me, I didn't realize it was happening. I thought he was helping me. I thought he was protecting our family. I thought the person standing beside me at the most difficult moment of my life was the one person I could trust without question. I was wrong. My brother didn't just steal my money. He stole my business, my reputation, and nearly 5 years of my life. He thought I would never discover what he'd done. He thought the evidence was gone. He thought our parents would always take his side. Most importantly, he thought I was too broken to fight back. What he didn't know was that I had kept one folder locked away in my office for years. And when I finally opened that folder, I didn't just expose what he had done. I took back everything he had stolen. My name is Daniel Carter, and growing up, I thought my younger brother Ryan and I were inseparable. We were 3 years apart, but we did almost everything together. We played baseball in the same neighborhood, shared video games, helped each other with school, and spent summers at our grandparents' house. Ryan was always more outgoing than me. He could walk into a room full of strangers and somehow leave with 10 new friends. I was quieter and more focused. But whenever someone asked which brother they trusted more, I always said Ryan. That was my first mistake. Our parents taught us that family was everything. My father used to say, "If you can't trust your brother, who can you trust?" Those words stayed with me for years. After college, I started working for a small construction company. I learned everything I could about property renovation, project management, and commercial development. Within a few years, I realized there was an opportunity to build a business of my own. Small contractors were struggling with scheduling, supplier management, and project costs. I created a simple software platform that helped contractors organize their projects and track expenses. At first, it was just an idea. Then it became a small business. Then it started growing. I worked almost 18 hours a day during the first year. I slept in my office more times than I want to admit. I ate cheap takeout, wore the same few shirts, and put nearly every dollar back into the company. Ryan watched me build it. He was proud of me. At least, that's what I thought. One night, we were sitting at a bar after work when he said, "You know what your problem is?" I laughed. "What?" "You don't know how to sell yourself." I told him I wasn't interested in becoming some corporate salesman. He said, "Then let me help." I looked at him. "Help how?" He said he could handle sales and partnerships while I focused on the technology. It made sense. Ryan was good with people. I was good with the product. So I brought him into the company. I gave him a small percentage of ownership and made him head of business development. It was the beginning of the worst mistake of my life. At first, Ryan was incredible. He landed clients. He negotiated contracts. He attended conferences. He brought energy to the company. Our revenue doubled, then tripled. We hired employees. We moved into a real office. Investors started approaching us. I was proud of my brother. I told everyone that Ryan was the reason we had grown so quickly. Then Ryan started changing. He began buying expensive clothes. Then a luxury car. Then he rented an apartment that cost more than my mortgage. I asked him how he was paying for everything. He laughed. "Business is good." I told him to be careful. He said, "Relax, Daniel, we're making money." I trusted him. Then one morning, our accountant called me. She said, "Daniel, we need to talk." I immediately knew something was wrong. She showed me a series of transactions. Money had been transferred from the company account to a consulting company I'd never heard of. I asked whose company it was. She said, "It's registered under Ryan's name." My stomach dropped. I called Ryan. He didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. Then I discovered the consulting company had been receiving monthly payments from our business for more than a year. The total was almost $400,000. I was furious. When Ryan finally walked into the office, I confronted him. "What is this?" He looked at the documents. Then he shrugged. It's legitimate. $400,000. He said the consulting company handled outside sales services. I asked why our company needed to pay a separate company owned by him. He said, because I'm doing the work. I stared at him. Then why didn't you tell me? He became defensive. Because I knew you'd make it complicated. I told him the money had to be returned. He laughed. It's my company too. That sentence changed everything. I told him he was suspended until we completed an investigation. He looked at me. You're suspending me. Yes. He stepped closer. You wouldn't have a company without me. I said, maybe not, but you wouldn't have a company without me either. He smiled. Then he said something I didn't understand at the time. You'll regret this. The next morning, our biggest investor called me. He said they were reconsidering their investment. I asked why. He said they had received information suggesting that I had mismanaged company funds. I was stunned. Who told you that? He wouldn't say. Then 2 more investors contacted me. Then one of our biggest clients canceled a contract. Then another. Within 3 weeks, the company was in crisis. And somehow, every accusation pointed back to me. They claimed I had misused company money. They claimed I had hidden financial information. They claimed I had personally approved questionable transactions. The evidence looked convincing. Except I hadn't done any of it. I started investigating. That's when I discovered something terrifying. Someone had been using my digital signature. Contracts had been approved under my name. Invoices had been altered. Emails had been sent from an account that looked like mine. Someone had built an entire trail designed to make me look guilty. And then I found the worst part. The evidence had been planted months before I even knew there was a problem. I went to my parents. I thought they would support me. Instead, my father said, "Daniel, Ryan says you're having some kind of breakdown." I stared at him. What? My mother said Ryan had told them I was under extreme stress and making reckless financial decisions. I couldn't believe it. I told them everything. My father looked at me and said, "Ryan showed us documents." I asked what documents. He wouldn't show me. Then my mother said, "Maybe you should step away from the company for a while." I looked at both of them. Do you believe him? My father didn't answer. That hurt more than anything. A week later, the board voted to remove me as CEO while the investigation continued. Ryan became interim CEO. I lost control of the company I had built. The company I had created from nothing. The company I had spent years sacrificing for. My brother took my office. He changed the locks. He removed my photographs. He even had my nameplate taken off the wall. I stood outside the building one afternoon with a cardboard box containing my personal belongings. Ryan walked past me. He stopped. Then he smiled. "You should have listened to me." I looked at him. "You did this." He shrugged. "Prove it." Then he walked inside. For the next 2 years, my life fell apart. I spent my savings on lawyers. My reputation was damaged. Friends stopped calling. Business partners avoided me. People who had once praised me now whispered that I had destroyed my own company. My parents barely spoke to me. Ryan became successful. He expanded the company. He bought another luxury car. He purchased a large house. He started appearing in business magazines. One headline called him the visionary leader behind one of America's fastest-growing construction technology firms. I read it and almost laughed, because I knew the truth. But knowing the truth wasn't enough. I needed proof. And that's when I remembered the folder. Years earlier, when I first started the company, I had been paranoid about security. I created a physical backup system. Every major contract, every financial report, every board decision, every software release. Everything was printed and stored offline. The folder was kept in a safe deposit box. I had forgotten about it during the chaos. Then one day, I went to the bank. I opened the box, and there it was. 5 years of records. I took everything to my attorney. She spent days reviewing the documents. Then she looked at me and said, "Daniel, I think your brother made a serious mistake." I asked why. She pointed to a contract. It was one of the documents that had supposedly been approved by me. The date was wrong. I had been in another state that day. My travel records proved it. Then we found another. And another. The digital signatures had been created after the documents were supposedly signed. The financial transfers had been approved through a computer located in the company's executive office. My office. The same office Ryan had occupied after taking control. We subpoenaed the company's internal systems. And that's when everything began collapsing. There were deleted emails, messages between Ryan and an outside consultant, payment records, fake invoices, instructions to employees, and one message that changed everything. Ryan had written, "Once Daniel is removed, we can move everything through the consulting company." My lawyer stared at the screen. I stared too. For 2 years, I had thought my brother had stolen my company because he was greedy. Now I realized it had been planned. He hadn't lost control. He had taken control. And he had built an entire operation designed to make me look like the criminal. The case exploded. Investigators became involved. The board ordered an independent audit. The audit found millions of dollars in suspicious transactions. Ryan's consulting company had received far more than the original $400,000. There were fake vendor accounts, inflated invoices, secret payments, and money transferred to accounts connected to people who had helped him remove me. Ryan's entire empire had been built on stolen money. When the board confronted him, he denied everything. He said I had manipulated the evidence. Then the investigators showed him the records. His face changed. He knew. For the first time, Ryan looked scared. But I wasn't finished. Because I had discovered one more thing. While Ryan had been stealing from the company, he had also been using company assets as collateral for personal investments. He had purchased properties using money that wasn't his. He had signed agreements that depended on the company's revenue. And he had transferred some of those assets into companies controlled by him. My attorney told me there was a possibility of recovering them. I told her to pursue everything. Not because I wanted Ryan to suffer. Because I wanted back what he had stolen. The legal battle lasted more than a year. It was brutal. Ryan fought every claim. He blamed employees. He blamed accountants. He blamed me. He even tried to convince my parents that I was destroying the family out of jealousy. But eventually, the evidence became impossible to deny. Ryan was removed from the company. The board terminated him. His assets were frozen where legally permitted. Several properties were recovered. The consulting company was shut down. And the financial records proved that millions had been misappropriated. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. I walked back into the headquarters. The same building where Ryan had once taken my office. The same hallway where he had removed my name. I walked into the boardroom. The directors stood. The chairman looked at me. "Daniel, welcome back." I sat down. The chairman slid a document toward me. The company wanted me back as CEO. I looked at the offer. Then I asked, "What happens to my ownership?" He said, "Your shares are being restored based on the findings." I nodded. Then I said, "And Ryan?" The chairman looked at me. "That's up to you." I thought about it. I could have demanded that he be publicly destroyed. I could have made sure every newspaper knew exactly what he had done. I could have spent the rest of my life trying to make him feel the pain I had felt. Instead, I said, "I don't want him anywhere near the company." That was all. I didn't need more. I returned to the office the following Monday. My old nameplate was back on the door, but I didn't feel the satisfaction I expected. I felt tired, because for years, I had believed the company was the most important thing my brother had stolen. It wasn't. He had stolen my trust. He had stolen my relationship with my parents. He had stolen years of my life. And no legal settlement could give those things back. Then something unexpected happened. My father came to my office. He looked older. He stood in the doorway. I told him to come in. He sat down. For several minutes, he said nothing. Finally, he whispered, "I was wrong." I looked at him. He continued, "I believed Ryan because he showed me what looked like proof." I said, "You didn't believe the evidence. You believed the son you wanted to believe." He looked down. I asked, "Did you ever ask me what happened?" He shook his head. "No." "Why?" He started crying. "Because I thought you were strong enough to handle it." That sentence hit me harder than I expected. I told him, "Being strong doesn't mean you don't deserve to be believed." He nodded. Then he said something I had never expected. "Your brother betrayed you because he wanted money, but I betrayed you because I was afraid to admit I had been wrong about him." I didn't know how to respond. For years, I had wanted an apology. Now that I had one, it didn't magically fix everything. I told him I forgave him. But I also told him that forgiveness didn't mean the relationship would immediately go back to normal. He understood. My mother came a few weeks later. She cried. She apologized. She told me she was proud of me. I smiled. Then I said, "I wish you had said that before I lost everything." She looked down. "I know." That was all she could say. Ryan's story ended very differently. He lost the company. He lost several properties. He had to face the consequences of what he'd done. But I didn't spend my time celebrating his downfall. I had already gotten what I wanted. My company. My reputation. My life. Everything he had tried to take from me was back in my hands. One afternoon, almost a year after I returned as CEO, I walked into my office and opened the safe. Inside was the old folder. The same folder that had saved me. I pulled it out. Then I realized something. I didn't need it anymore. The truth had already been proven. So I took the folder home. I placed it in a drawer. And I closed it. Because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life living inside the betrayal. I wanted to live beyond it. Today, my company is larger than it was before Ryan betrayed me. We've expanded into new markets. We've hired hundreds of employees. And I still remember the first day I started it. Just me. A laptop. A cheap desk. And an idea. Ryan once told me I wouldn't have a company without him. He was wrong. I built it before him. I rebuilt it after him. And I eventually made it stronger without him. That's the part he never understood. He thought he was stealing my success. But success isn't a building. It isn't a bank account. It isn't a company. It's the ability to lose everything and still find a way to build again. My brother betrayed me for money. He stole my company. He stole my reputation. He stole years of my life. But he never stole the one thing that mattered most. My ability to start over. And when the truth finally came out, I didn't take revenge by destroying him. I took back everything he stole. My company, My money, my reputation, my future, and most importantly, my belief in myself. The last time I saw Ryan, we were standing outside the courthouse. He looked at me. For a second, I saw the little brother I used to know. Then he said, "Do you hate me?" I thought about everything. The lies, the money, the betrayal, the years. Then I said, "No." He looked surprised. I continued, "But I will never trust you again." He nodded, and we walked in different directions. I didn't look back, because sometimes the strongest revenge isn't making the person who hurt you suffer. Sometimes it's taking back everything they stole, rebuilding the life they tried to destroy, and becoming so strong that their betrayal no longer controls your future. My brother thought money was worth more than family. He was willing to betray me for it. In the end, he lost both. And I got something money could never buy. I got my life back,